Hey everyone, John Fenton here, the CEO Sensei, and it's my pleasure to be with you this afternoon. It's this wonderful, beautiful Thursday afternoon, 1 o'clock. I first of all want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here with me live today, or if you're not watching live, in the recorded version of today's presentation and today's talk. And today I want to talk about resilience, and we're going to be talking about why you may think resilience may be a really great thing, a great attainable thing. And I can share with you today that, in my 40 years of business experience, that, I've lived through a financial crises. I've lived through, personal health issues. I've seen ups and downs in many different ways and recessions and great recessions, multiple great recessions throughout my career. And I used to think resilience was the thing that I needed to accomplish, the thing I needed to have to get me through all these things. I want to make sure I'm in airplane mode, which I am. It's awesome. So I want to take this time today to share with you today. And I got some administrative things I want to cover today before we jump into the content today. But again, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. And we're gonna cover a couple different ideas around resilience, what it means, what it doesn't mean, and maybe there's something better. And I'm here to tell you there's actually something better than just being resilient that you may not have thought about. You may not have thought about that. So, hop into the comments. You can comment, share, ask questions. I will answer all the questions that you post in there and respond to all your comments. So share with other people. Someone else may benefit from watching today. I know you got very busy schedules, so we're going to keep this all moving very quickly today. Just a short time together to really kind of touch on these key principles around what could make your business better. What could, if you really want to have a remarkable business or a remarkable company or remarkable organization or even a remarkable career, what is it going to take from you as a leader to achieve those things in your life and achieve those things in your business? We're going to cover that today. A lot packed into today, so we're going to keep moving. Also, if you'd love to come on with me on screen, you can do so very easily. Go to this link, www.livewithjohn.johnnow.com. So livewithjohnnow.com. It's real simple. Pop you right into the green room, and I can pull you up on the screen if you'd like to participate live with me in session today. Let's keep moving, and let's see. I'm looking for some comments here. Great. So thank you for sharing, Laura. And, pop in here, share your comments, share your thoughts, post those in the comments. Also, take a moment to also jump in live with me. You can bring it right up on the screen here. It's real easy. Just go to that link, and I'd be happy to have you on in the conversation. Just join in the conversation. So it's not just me here talking to you today. Again, this is really, I want to thank you for being here, and let's move on. So have you thought about, what kind of company, organization do you work for? Have you thought about this in the context of, is your company fragile? Are you fragile? Is your company brittle? Is your organization brittle? Is it resilient? Is it resilient? So I've been doing some research in this area recently, and what I'm discovering is, and some of this information comes from a lot of really smart people, Harvard Business Review and some other thought leaders in this area. And, let's talk about this for a moment. So we've been through a major crisis, a major upheaval, a pandemic that has affected all of us in many, many ways, right? And so, our companies react to these, and organizations react to these situations. On a personal level, too, we react as well. So, if you think about this, are you fragile, or is your organization fragile? And fragility is really about not being able to withstand the upheaval, the chaos, right? So the companies that are fragile don't really survive, or they survive for a very, very short time. They can't withstand all of the complexities and the issues that are going on that are dramatically impacting their business and their people. Then there are brittle organizations, and brittle organizations find a way to get through. They find a way to survive. Fragile companies will not survive. in the short term. Brittle companies will find a way to survive, and they're going to struggle though, because they are brittle, because they don't adapt to change well, and their infrastructure and their systemically don't adapt to change well, either from the leadership or through just the systems in their company. Brittle companies will survive for a short period of time, but chances are they're not going to survive for very long. They may die a slow death, if you will. And so it can be really gut wrenching to the company and the people, because the systems are not in place and the mindset's not in place to really persevere, endeavor to persevere. And there's resilience and resilient companies. Are you part of a resilient organization or company? And if you think about resilience, there's a crisis, and we overcome that. We adapt to the situation. We look at our systems, we look at our supply chain, we look at our customer relationships, and we make changes. Right? We make changes, we adapt. And our whole purpose is to bring our company back to where we once were, back to where we were before the crisis, or before the upheaval, before the pandemic. But getting back to the way things were really may not be the best thing for your company. Let's think about that. And really, I'm talking about, let's talk about what is resilience, right? What is resilience? And I'm really talking about, from you personally and your company, what is resilience? It's the ability to bounce back. It's the ability to overcome. But it's kind of getting back to the way things were. So dealing with the crisis in the immediate term, and then kind of moving forward, but really not changing anything per se, just adapting, making a few tweaks here or there to get things back to the way they were. Back in 2004, the SARS epidemic was very widespread in Southeast Asia. And there was an executive who was living in Southeast Asia at the time. And what he observed were that a lot of companies that were resilient. They fought really hard. They adapted to the situation. They made some changes, and they were just really anxious to get back to the way things were. There were other companies that embraced the change, embraced the new normal, looked at new ways to improve their business, looked at new ways to improve their customer relationships, their delivery of their products and services, their systems. How could they improve? How could they learn from that crisis and improve their business? And what this executive observed, he was with Korn Ferry, I believe, what he observed was that the companies that embraced that change and that crisis and embraced new systems and looked at took a hard look at their business and really wanted to improve and learn from that situation, they really excelled and outperformed the other companies. They really excelled. I think sometimes when we're resilient and we get back to wanting things to be the way they were, it's sort of looking backwards almost, looking back in the past. I'm a firm believer you want to look forward, moving forward. So what can you do? So, but have you heard, there's actually something better than resilience. Have you heard the term anti-fragility, both for you and for your company? Anti-fragility. What that means is there was a book written, Nicholas Taleb, I believe, wrote a book he coined the term anti-fragility. And what he found were there were organizations and organisms that adapted to change very quickly and very, very well. And they adapted to that change, and they grew and they improved their business in that process. And they made themselves better. And so anti-fragility is really about, if you think about it, if you look in the word fragility or anti-fragility, there's the word fragile. Hang on one second. I'm going to bring my guest up here, Dr. Dave Miles. I'm going to add Dave to the stream here and bring him on screen. Hello, Dave.
Hey, how's it going, John? Good.
Awesome. Welcome. Thanks. Hey, it's great to have you on today. I appreciate you jumping in. We're talking about fragility, anti-fragility, resilience, and what that means. And I'm going to ask you a quick question from your perspective, and thanks for participating today. How do you define resilience or fragility or anti-fragility from your perspective?
I like the idea. I've listened to a lot of folks talk about the the idea of resilience. And I think resilience is a certain part of it. But as you mentioned, the book, and I right off the top of my head can't remember the author, but yes, it's more of the becoming anti-fragile and basically building up that hard shell and being able to bounce back. If you get knocked down 8 times, fine, you get up 9. I mean, that's really just the stick-to-itiveness to just keep going and keep persevering and keep putting one foot in front of the other. I think is the big thing. But I do like when you start parsing it down to technical definitions, the anti-fragility, anti-fragile versus resilient. I think that definitely is a better definition.
Yeah, it's really cool. Thanks. Yeah, if you think about it, so if inside that word anti-fragile is the word agile. So being really agile, being nimble and quick. The best way to describe anti-fragility, I think, is to talk about what is the opposite. Let's talk about fragility. So one of my clients was sharing with me that they had a division that relied on a raw material from Texas. If you remember back in, I guess it was March, they had a big freeze and everything shut down in the electric grid and the power grid in Texas for about a week. And that slowed their production down dramatically impacted their business. And they weren't able to did not have an alternate raw material source. And so it directly impacted my client's business, and they could not get that product to make the products they were making for the customers. And that's one definition of being fragile, right? Within your systemically in your systems. I think the other thing is, being agile, being anti-fragile and being agile, but also kind of this on a personal level is sort of like, do you like to try new stuff? Do you like to do new things? Now, sometimes we can get kind of scattered, right? And kind of try to try too many things at one time, or kind of what's the next shiny object, which can sometimes be totally disruptive, right? And not productive. But do you like to try new things? Are you open to change and making some changes and considering new ways to do things? From my experience, one of the phrases I do not like to hear, is that's how we've always done it. To me, that's a brittle mindset. That's a brittle mindset. So we want to be fragile. We want to be anti-fragile. We want to be agile and be adaptable. Dave, real quick, I'll mute you for a minute and then I'll bring you back up in a second. We get a little bounce back. That's awesome. All right, so let's keep moving along. So anti-fragility, and really it's on a personal level, as an individual, as a leader, but also within the organization. And there's some great things you can do to make your company, your organization, and yourself anti-fragile, right? Stronger than resilient, right? Stronger than being resilient. So how to be anti-fragile, for you and your company, Also, remember, you can like, comment, and share. I see a few comments in the comment box there. I'm going to take a quick look there. Laura, thank you so much. Laura, I think the aspect of resilience is continually evaluating and what's working, what isn't working. That's right. It's like continuous improvement, right? Not just being stuck in a rut. And getting better, always getting better than before. I love that. Thank you, Laura. All right, get back to doing a little administrative stuff here. All right, awesome. So again, like, comment, share, ask some questions. I will respond to everybody who does. And let's move on to how can you be anti-fragile? How can your organization be anti-fragile? One way, number one, I came up with like 5 different, I think, key points here. Embrace the chaos. And it's really about adapting to that change and just accepting that what is, right? So kind of assessing the situation. Here's the chaos, here's the upheaval, here's the disruption. Now, how can we move forward? It's not blaming, right? It's not looking backwards. How can we learn from this? How can we move forward? Number two is have a clear vision. I was speaking with a CEO last week. And one of the things we talked about was, in terms of leadership, is having a clear vision about where you want to take the organization and the team. Being very clear on that and articulating that and sharing it with the team so that everybody knows exactly where they are and where you want to go as a group, right? It is so important. It helps to bring a lot of clarity to the entire organization. So being clear about what's next, where are we headed next? If you think about some of this, a process of maybe the aim for success, right? Assess the situation, integrate some new actions, some new action items that will help you achieve and get to where you want to go. So assessing the situation, assessing the where you want to take the company and the organization, where you want to go to in terms of your own personal development, and then integrating the new actions that are required to get you there. And through frequency and repetition, and continuing to build that process and keep refining that process over and over, actually developing a sense of mastery, a mastery where it becomes ingrained into your culture, which is the next area I want to focus on. Culture and the speed of change. As you know, time is money. Time is money. So the ability to adapt and change in any situation, the speed at which you adapt, the speed at which you change, and make systemic changes, not just Band-Aids, but really take a deep dive into areas of weakness that you can improve upon to develop more strengths in those areas, to improve your business, whatever that process may be, or that system may be, or the quality, the personnel and the team, or whatever it might be, is taking a hard look at making change quickly, right? And also the culture. What is your culture like? How do you define your culture? I think culture is really important. Dave, I want to bring you back up for a minute. In terms of some of the things we've been sharing so far on culture and speed of change and chaos vision. Tell me, from your perspective, what do you see happening?
Well, there's a lot packed in there. That's folks that will be taking some notes for sure. But a couple of things is culture is really what you'll tolerate.
Right.
I mean, what do you, regardless of what's on the wall, vision, mission, values, what are you willing to tolerate and what do you actually put up with? How authentic are you as far as being able to, is how you apply that as well. People see when, you say one thing and do something else, or and it's not even intentional. That's the bad part about it. Sometimes you're not purposely trying to do that, but it's just the way we do business. And it ties back to what you said about the vision. You have to constantly be selling that vision. It's not just as much to have the board and the executive team come up with this vision and put it on the wall. You have to clearly just sell it all the time and constantly just be banging that gong to everybody in the organization so they know this is where we're going and this is how we're going to get there.
Absolutely.
Those two right there are huge. And you had mentioned about the supply chain, and I think it was Westover, but I'm trying to remember the organization that put out the video, but there was a really great video that I just saw within the last week that talked about why all of the shortages in 2021 are here. And it really went back to the Toyota production system and lean and how some of the good and some of the bad implementations of that. And how, like you talk about, one thing about being anti-fragile is not having a system that, when one thing goes out, the entire system collapses. Like I said, you end up running too lean to be anti-fragile, because like you said, one small interruption in the supply chain, and there is no, how much waste is waste. When you're talking about inventory, it's excess inventory, not stuff that needed to make sure that we don't completely shut down when a truck is 2 hours late, or 2 weeks late or 2 months late. So it's a lot to unpack on those 3 points that you said, but they all do tie together for the leadership to really, keep selling that compelling vision and really pay attention to the culture on, what are you putting out there to people? What do you expect? And then what are you tolerating?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that perspective, David. Thank you for that. And I'll mute you just for a moment here so we keep moving on. So those are 3 areas so far, right? Culture, speed of change, clear vision, embracing the chaos, embracing the disruption. And around culture, let's dive a little bit more into culture. I heard this, and I learned this a long time ago. Fail fast, but fail cheap. I think actually Hewlett and Packard had that mantra many, many years ago. Fail fast and fail cheap. So making mistakes are okay. Making mistakes is how we learn. It's how we adapt. And by being able to adapt to those situations, have a culture that encourages making mistakes, have a culture that encourages challenging the process, and has a culture of getting ideas from different areas within the organization can really make a big difference. Within the team, everybody has something to contribute with the team if everybody's clear about the vision and where you're going, because it's not just selling vision, as you mentioned, Dave, but also it's around allowing people to opt into that vision, if you will, to embrace that vision. And so you're not really selling it, but you're positioning it in a way, hey, this is what we're about, this is where we're going. And people can opt in and some people can choose not to opt in. And when that happens, you know what you need to do in that situation, right? Is, a one bad apple can really mess things up. And I've seen that many times. A couple of my clients were recently telling me about how things were so different when that one bad apple left the organization. It makes a huge impact. And we don't see it until they're not there. Tough decisions to make, and it's tough being a leader, but sometimes it's what we have to do. It's right for the company. It's right for that individual, honestly. And so sometimes it's just a hard decision to make. So fail fast, fail cheaply. It's okay to make mistakes. Let's learn from those mistakes. The fifth thing I want to say is kind of dovetails into that: continuous improvement, having a process of continuous improvement. I had good fortune to be, I'm a martial artist. Okay. I'm black belt in Tai Chi and a master. And I learned some really great things from that process. And what is mastery? Well, mastery is about, it's always continually improving, honestly. It's not about achieving something and then you're done. It's a continual process of continuing to improve your business. Just like in the AIM system, assessing, integrating, and mastery, it's that continual improvement to make your company better, to build the company and the organization you want, and to have the kind of success and career that you want to have personally on a personal level. So let's kind of recap that real quick. Number one, embrace the chaos. Number two, have a clear vision. Oh, there we go. Have a clear vision of where you want the company to go. Number three, the culture that you have and the speed of change in which you have, and the ability to adapt very quickly is so important. And part of that is having the ability to fail fast and fail cheap. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to challenge the status quo, to build the business the right way, and getting feedback from all parts of the organization, a continual feedback loop, and continuous improvement in making the company better, and to build mastery into your process so that you continue to rise and continue to really outperform your past, have remarkable results, and achieve all the success that you want to achieve, however you define that success. Dave, before I close up here, just any final comments or any comments you want to make? Will I have you on the screen with us here today?
Well, no, I think one of the big things is that, just like what you said, we're never done. Whether you're talking about personally or professionally, we're never done improving ourselves. We're never, we need to really kind of embrace that lifelong learning, that really mantra of the martial arts that, no matter how good you get, you never able to actually quite achieve that mastery. You can always get better. And from my own personal studies, I tell you, the more I dug into it, the more I learned what I didn't know. And so it's just, it can be intimidating sometimes the more you learn and the more you realize how much is actually out there to learn and what you can do to improve. But you're right. If you can stick to that continuous improvement and just keep that, it's deliberate, it's intentional. To some degree, it's pushing the boulder uphill. But honestly, there's no, like I said, the only easy day was yesterday. There's at some point if you want to continue to grow and improve and not atrophy as a company or atrophy, emotionally, personally, physically, you have to keep pushing. And so I think that's a huge point to end on, and that being number 5.
I appreciate that, Dave, so much. I'm going to get my bounce back here. So thank you, Dave, so much. I really appreciate that perspective. Yes, continuous improvement. Continuous improvement is really important. One thing I didn't add here, maybe I should have, is also, as an executive, take care of yourself, take care of your health. It's so important, right? I mean, I mentioned earlier, I've faced a lot of crises and a lot of things. I've faced some major health crises in my life where actually in one situation, my heart stopped, literally stopped. But I was able to, I'm here, I survived, and I'm thrived. And that's the key, I think. That's the key to being anti-fragile, is to not only just survive, but to really thrive in your business, thrive in your life in all aspects. And so continuous improvement is really about building that muscle, that agile muscle, the anti-fragile muscle, to allow you to thrive, So I want to thank you for watching. And as a special, just because you're here with me today, pick up the phone and call me. And this is what you can do. You can go to this link, bit.ly.com or bit.ly / call with John. Takes you right to my calendar, book a 15-minute call. I love it. If any of this resonates with you, right? If you're not sure about how resilient your organization is, or how anti-fragile your organization is, or about your own career, and you're not sure where you're going in terms of your resilience and your ability to keep going and really connect with your purpose in your organization, reach out to me. Take 15 minutes, a discovery call with John. Here's the link right here. I'm going to take a moment to pop it into the comments here real quick so you can also see it. Give me a second here. Call with John. Goes right to my calendar so you can book a call at your convenience. It's easy to do, and I'd love to have a chat with you. And what one issue, what opportunity are you facing? I'd love to have that conversation with you to help you kind of get some clarity around that and move forward. So with that, Dave, I appreciate you being on with me.
Cool. Appreciate you being here. I would say two things. One, you absolutely can't stress the amount of the importance of taking care of yourself and taking care of your own health. I'm glad you wrapped up with that, because all the performance is no good if you're not there to enjoy it.
That's true. Very true.
That's a big deal. And I would certainly encourage folks to click on the link and go to bit.ly and call with John, because I tell you what, if you haven't had a chance to speak with him, you will be amazed with the amount of resources and tools and things that he has to be able to give you guys as a resource. So I was really impressed when I got a chance to talk to him. If you haven't ever had a chance to call, like I said, 15-minute discovery call, at least be able to talk out some issues. And I think you'll be impressed on what you'll be able to, like I said, just the tools, resources, experience, and knowledge, and he'll be able to bring to the table. And hopefully it'll be a good fit for you guys. And but yeah, it'll definitely be worth your time. That's for sure.
Well, Dave, I really appreciate that unsolicited testimonial. Thank you very much. I did.
No, well deserved. It's I'm speaking from personal experience. You definitely bring it to the table. That's for sure. And that's why I didn't know that you were going to be putting something in there about the call. But I wanted to make sure that for people to know that John's the real deal. So he really brings it to everything he does. And so I would certainly encourage folks to do that.
Well, that is so cool. Thank you, Dave. So I don't get any you right there. So it's been awesome to have you on. I love all the comments in here, Laura. Thank you so much for all of your contribution to the comments. Yes, more than just thrive, more than just thrive, more than just survive. Thrive, really thrive, really thrive. So with that, John Fenton here, the CEO of Sensei, signing off, and Dave Miles, Dr. Dave Miles, and we'll see you next time.